There's a lot of talk that the U.S. has just sort of lost when it comes to clean tech, that there's a lot more innovation on sort of the agriculture, biofuel side happening in places like Brazil. There's a lot more happening in solar in certain pockets of Europe. There's a lot kind of happening with everything throughout China. How do you feel the U.S. is actually doing in clean tech? Next year, could we get a little bit of our mojo back if we start seeing some of these exits?
Boy, that's an interesting question. I think it's a complicated question too. But it turns out that of the companies currently in registration in clean tech, more than half of them are biofuel companies. So there's a lot going on there with, you know, slime to run your truck or your airplane. And I think that all is interesting. It's not something that I have any expertise in, so we've never made an investment in that area. And also it is something that requires, generally speaking, much more capital intensive than Claremont Creek would want to participate in. So I think that we probably will do fairly well in the bioengineered fuels arena in the United States. We'll have a winner or two that are of significant magnitude and really make a contribution to our energy situation. The broader question of whether or not the United States has lost its mojo technologically is one that I think requires considerable thought. My suspicion is that the answer is approximately, we have not lost our mojo, but the rest of the world has gained mojo. There was a time when we were really the seed of all significant innovation. It was true. You know, the Europeans would be very unhappy to hear me say that, but it really was true. It was all going on here, and lots of it was going on within a few miles of where we live. That has changed. I actually think that has changed significantly, and for two reasons. First of all, capital has moved to China and to India, largely because we fueled it, but it has moved there. The universities in China and India have started to produce really outstanding engineering graduates, and so innovation is really and truly beginning to occur in centers that are not in the United States. I hope that our regulatory and corporate environments, regulatory with respect to manufacturing, regulatory with respect to corporate governance, don't become so odious that we actually can't innovate in the United States anymore. We're a long way from that, but you know, there are trends in that direction. So what I believe will happen is that although we have lost some of our mojo, there will be multiple centers of innovation around the world. And hopefully humanity as a whole will be the beneficiaries of that.
And we'll just have to get used to sharing as Americans.
Yeah, yeah. You know, in my quiet moments, I say someday the Chinese will look at the United States as a great big dumb market that makes great
someday
that makes great military hardware. Yeah. No, so that's the pessimistic side. The optimistic side is that I think that the one area where we really still continue to innovate is in clean tech. I think that the European, even the Canadian feed-in tariffs really accelerated the adoption of solar. I think the Chinese are trying to figure out how the heck they can start to live in a more benign environment by not having so many coal plants and a better environmental regulation. So I think that there's a lot of pressure to innovate in both those outside the United States, and a lot of governmental action, much more aggressive, much more aggressive than the American government has been. So I think that it has enabled a lot of solar implementation, a lot of alternative energy implementation. We are not nearly as aggressive. That said, I think we're doing a pretty good job because we still remember that we are the most important innovators in the world, and we do have absolutely, unquestionably, the best, present company included, venture capital environment. You know, there's right down there, there's 80% of the venture capital in the world is on Sand Hill Road. That may be an exaggeration, but it's a very high percentage of venture capital, and we have the legal system, we have the marketing systems, we've got the public relations systems, all in place to accelerate new innovation and ideas. So I think we're still in pretty good shape for a while. We just got to be careful.
Enough for another fund, right?
At least.